Hey, Dan, Brad, how you doing?
Scott, thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction and welcome all of our good friends for attending the Trade Ideas Wednesday Q&A webinar on May the 8th. My good buddy Brad, how are you?
Hey, co-piloting with you today, Dan. I'm doing good. Welcome to
Ma-
all of our guests.
Maverick and Goose, flying Top Gun here. I'm the CEO, Brad's the COO. Of course, we don't play like that. Scott's very important too. And so is Barry. Everybody's very important. We're just telling you guys that we like to come in here and not just, govern from the boardroom, but really get down, talk to the people. And we're grateful that you guys come in here and spend time with us. So before we get started, please understand that Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. All of this information that you're going to see today is for educational and informational purposes only. For registered investment advice, please consult a registered investment advisor. Brad, I kind of want to do something similar that we've done before where we spend a lot of time answering questions, but there is quite a bit of stuff that we want to talk about. And let me I'm going to hit escape. I've been doing this kind of a while. And we also have a spring test drive, and I'll get to that. You can still sign up, I think, today, probably the last day. Let's talk about, Brad, this thing we call the market, shall we?
You mean the stock market?
The stock market. I'm going to open up the Holli Neo page. And I'm going to say again that today wasn't a fantastic day for the AI or the market for that matter, but I want you guys to have some perspective, okay? It's very difficult to communicate what we're trying to do here when you're not really fully seeing what's going on. So we've gone from here to here relatively quickly, and it made new highs, then pulled back. So we're like boom, 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 boom. I mean, these 2 days looks like it's going down, but they both finished up, and then you have these big gaps. This is some of the hardest trading environments that you can get for just pure intraday trading. And we've said this before. It was same situation here, okay, and same situation here. The relatively smooth sailing was right around here, where it just kind of went, and then right around March 4th is when it got tricky because big pullbacks, sharp run-ups, big pullbacks, then you think it's going to go up and then pull back, but it doesn't. So you get really positioned, then it does a little bit and you get scared and it keeps going, and then you see what you're seeing. Simply replaying the fact that there is this notion that people think that the market is always easy and that it's always easy to make money, but that's not the case, okay? And the thing that you have to know is that RAI, Holli, is kind of like a card counter in Vegas. Now the card counter is going to give you odds, but it still has to deal with the deck. And sometimes the deck is just simply not producing what you would want to produce, no matter what kind of, sorcery you would want to put into it. And we're not into that kind of stuff, but I'm just saying that you can only do what you can do with what you have. Meanwhile, we do want to show you some new things that we've added. Right here on the right-hand side, Brad, this isn't available yet, or is this in the beta for the?
It's in a beta. The beta has not made its way out yet to the website, but I'm anticipating tomorrow that it will. So tomorrow we'll have.
Okay, so for everybody who's participating in the test drive, we've got some new features, and I'm going to show you one that we don't have out released yet, but it'll be out soon too. So here we're now tracking the S&P for you, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and the composite. So you can kind of have that familiar data that everybody likes to look at, make sure that you see it. The other thing I want to say is that, look, let me put this up right here. So even on a situation like today, where the market was very challenging, when you're only going to be down like $200 on approximately, and this is if you took every single trade on 47 trades, that's not really bad. You're folding a lot of hands, and Jamie and I talk about that on our podcast. This is a common thing that people do in poker. good players, good professional players can lose to amateurs because amateurs can get lucky and the pros are just playing the rules. You're continuing to do what you are taught to do, what you're trained to do, but you know, luck doesn't go, or rather the cards don't fold out the way that you want them to fold out. Still, there were some good percentage gainers, okay? And that's always there. And of course, listen, sometimes even the best situations, they're just all over the place. So this is the thing we're trying to show you. This is why we have what's called risk off mode. And this is something, risk off. So this mode right here, the risk off mode, is the mode that the AI was tested on. In other words, it's not really meant to not give you the full benefit. The idea is that that sometimes when you have a strong tailwind, the market can give you more, and people who want to do that can play that. But certainly, Brad, I would say that this market over the since March has probably been a risk-off type market. That's something else that we're going to help you understand better, that depending on how the performance is going on, like for example, tomorrow, I could say, listen, I'm definitely going to go risk off, and you can have an amazing risk on day. However, over the course of the several days and weeks and months, it's been a pretty risk off type of environment because the market's been very volatile. Brad, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, the market's been incredibly volatile, and it's also one of the reasons why we're bringing some additional data points to the software. So for those of you guys that don't know what risk off, risk on, and we're going to have this new mode called full risk. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of a good understanding or a good foundation to have. Each one of these strategies, and I'll try to do it really briefly, each one of these strategies, when it's tested on a particular time frame. That time frame may have been an hour, maybe it's to the end of the day, maybe it's 45 minutes, but suffice to say, each one has a unique time frame that it's back tested on. In order to back test something, you have to have a certain time period associated with it. So that's what a risk off time or risk off profit is. That's exiting at the end of that time period, whatever that is established with the strategy. Now, a risk on profit is really holding that strategy to the end of the day or holding that position to the end of the day. But if you get stopped out, you're going to get stopped out, and you're not going to participate anymore with that profit. So if it moves past the stop threshold, it's going to lock in right there. You will have maxed out, so to speak. So we're introducing this third mode called full risk, and full risk is completely taking out the stops. So it's not going to do a calculation based on getting stopped out of anything. It's going to hypothesize you're holding this position to the end of the day, irrespective of whether it breaches a stop or not. So just giving you an idea of how volatile the market is and really what type of conservation you should use. Should you use a lot of risk, or should you use little risk?
And Brad, if I may, notice here on this trade in, let me move this column over a little bit. Okay, on this trade in Z, Y, and E, okay? This is a good example. And by the way, notice this is something else that we've talked about. On April, you had a buy signal here, and we're talking about creating an environment for you to be able to keep these trades more. And the AI has been trading this consistently for a while now. So we're going to help you with that. But the idea here is here you had a stop because it moved. Let's take a look here. Whoops. So here you bought it right here. And remember, when this buy was happening, it looked like it was breaking out of, see, it was above yesterday's high. And this is what we talk about the poker. I want to, Brad, reiterate this thing. Imagine you have a hand where you've got two queens as a poker player, and you think you're doing great. So you're doing the thing, you're slow playing it, trying to get everybody to bet. And there's a guy with two twos who's, yeah, I got a pair of twos, I'll stay in, why not? And another two rolls out. So this is where you are in a lot of trouble in poker, because while you're thinking you've got the pocket queens and things are really rolling your way, you've got another guy there with 3 2s, which will beat a lot of things. Any 3s will beat a lot of things. And here you have this situation. The stock is going, it's moving, it's looking good, and it's trying to make a move. Then all of a sudden, the 2 2s pop out. So when that happens, we generate a stop for you. Now, we do not know what's going to happen, but there's a good point to understand why stops are in play, Brad, which is here you lost your $28 on the stop, but had you held it without any stops, you would have been down $83.
Yeah, and so you can see the overlays on the chart right there. So if you look at the 10-minute chart, go down that one more chart, yeah, that one right there. On that intraday basis, you can see how we're putting some annotations on it. You can see the buy signal with that blue line. You can tell the price. You can also see visually where that stop is. So it gives you not only the price at 1273, but gives you that visual representation with some gradient in there. So it's all helpful in that regard.
It's very helpful. It's very, it's constantly talking to you. And I want to reiterate the fact that, guys, nothing is done or built on a trading environment of 3 months or so. We've been testing this technology for years and years and years. When something happens and a trend starts to take place, right now we're in a ping pong environment, up, down, up, down, up, down. So unless you either, again, have some information or you're playing very stock specific, it's tricky to find a groove. And the AI does from day to day, just that consistently. But once things start going, this is where we just completely dominate. And we've shown you guys that before. Let me bring this up here real quick. Like this picture is a picture that is real. You know, I was up $1,600 on 30 shares of Tesla, $2,700 on 200 shares of Netflix. Just crazy gains when the stock market was getting annihilated. So all of this is possible, and we always like to show some of the good stuff so that you know where we're going. So one of the things, and this goes to a little bit to what Richard is saying, we're going to be bringing in a lot more data so you can really show the historical aspect. We have it internally, and we're going to be doing more of that. So you can really show historically how well the AI is doing versus some benchmarks. The S&P, comparing it to the S&P is kind of tricky because we put on a lot of trades, and the S&P is just one thing, and so you're only going to be limited to whatever it does, where here you have a situation where, for example, so here you have a 5% gain in a risk on move on CVM. If you think about what that would be on an S&P, it's not really comparable at all. We're shooting for much bigger percentages, but we're trying to compare it to something, and there's really nothing like what we do in the market. So we're just giving you some roundabout idea of what it is that we do. The commissions can be simulated in Brokerage Plus, and we also show you here when we say, let's see here. Whoops. Okay, so when you're doing your AI setup and you can put in dollars based on how much you want to lose per trade. You can say, what would it be if I had lost 100? And it'll size your shares accordingly. So now you can see what would have happened if you were willing to give it $100 per.
Yeah, and that's based upon where the stop is. So if you happen to get stopped out on that position, you won't be losing more than $100.
Correct. But there's also, of course, full risk mode. And so you can see, well, oh, okay, well, you know, how much can you stomach? So this is like holding it without any stops. And we do not recommend this, by the way, but we show it to you so that you can see. what are the implications? Can you handle it? Maybe your account size is such that you could handle this kind of a thing, and it's not a problem considering you're, in this particular day, you're folding a lot of hands. I assure you that when it's positive, and as I've shown you from the picture, it does that much and then some. So the thing that Richard is asking, we're bringing to the software where you can see the returns, what they are, how much they are, basically better simulation for you. Brad, is there a place that I'm not thinking about where I can show that already, or is that in our back office? That's
well,
back.
it's in our back office right now, where we've got the ability to query it and to hypothetically put the commissions in there. So we have it. It's not a forward-facing tool yet to the website. It's something we talk about all the time, as far as bringing it out and allowing people to manipulate the data. But what we're doing here is we're bringing this data back into the software, allowing real-time last pricing, and being able to take some historical look at some of the ideas that are generated from Holli, because the way the market works, it's a strange animal. I mean, like there's situations here today that were signaled out that may not have really matured yet. They may not have come to fruition, but there are footprints in the sand that are really highlighting the activity of that stock. It happens so many times. Like today, I think there was a stock CFMS that came up. And I had to set a price alert from yesterday's Holli, which I do all the time. When a Holli signal comes up, I pull it up on a chart, and I do my own analysis. I'm pretty experienced in the market, and I know what I like to look for. And when a stock I pull it up and I see a void or a gap, or I see some type of something that's interesting, I'll set a price alert up. And on this particular stop, it triggered like at 3 o'clock today, or at $3 today for me, pretty early in the morning. And this was just a signal yesterday. Go ahead and zoom out a little bit on your 10-minute chart, Dan, so you can kind of get a little bit more of a perspective. This was just a call yesterday, and not much happened, right? It just kind of meandered around there. But today, it just lit up. And that's what I mean by footprints in the sand. There's stuff happening that you can't necessarily see. Price, volume, action, things that are going on. And the computer does see it.
And so, it also, Brad, and it's also giving you a confirmation of the previous signal too.
That's right. Yeah, right now we're only populating the chart with the Holli Holy Grail signals. We're in the process of bringing 2.0 and Neo to the chart as well. But right now, these are just the Holli Holy Grail ones.
Guys, what we're doing right now is there's a complete revamping of this whole interface that's happening behind the scenes. We're making it so that you will be able to very soon not only just look at this data and see the trades, but you'll be able to say, okay, go, and they're paper traded for you in a similar way, but it's yours. You have to take the action. You're going to say, do I want to automate it? Do I want to paper trade it? And you'll be able to paper trade other things as well. So there's going to be a full, complete paper trading setup on both premium and standard version of the software. This will allow you to not only paper trade during the day, but swing paper trade. So you can see what's going on, what your positions are doing, and I'll show a quick, let me see if I can. This is kind of an example of this, where you're setting alerts for yourself, but instead of just letting you know that, hey, this is the current price, this is the alert price, and the dollars since triggered. In other words, how far are you away from where you did? Did you do good or did you do bad? And obviously in this particular case, this is just our alerting tools. So you can see like here, for example, I had a yikes warning short from 9/27/2018, alert price of 131 and the current price of 45.99. This is the kind of stuff that, again, let me zoom out quite a bit. This was over here probably somewhere where I had, oh, here it is, okay? So this was the, let me see what day it was, 9/27. So I set this alert here and I was watching it. And again, that doesn't mean that you get in right away. I'm just saying that I was watching it, and it said they warned. And then what we're doing is we're creating a methodology for you to be able to follow this action and say, hey, how is my P&L doing? So for example, here, if you would have been short, you would have been quickly stopped out, but potentially gone again for another, and this goes back to poker, another stop, and it could take you that long to get it, but look, this is the swing of big moves, okay? And notice there's a lot of price action in between. I mean, if you had gone from 130 to 86, you could have taken some profits. And now, Brad, interestingly enough, we generated a reversal. So that's something else that we're constantly trying to do, is we're not simply looking for these trend plays where it continues. Hopefully it does if we're trying to, if the software sees that, but we're also looking to find turnarounds. And what I'm going to do right now is just show you how, what Brad did, how this is done. So right now there's a buy signal. This one didn't work out, but I can just say right here, right click and say back at the Holli buy signal. Okay, now that I have this here, and that would actually be like right here. So what this is going to let me know, and it'll automatically pop up by itself, and this is another thing that we're going to be doing. So imagine now that this tool right here, which is very rudimentary other than it's alerting and keeping tabs of the score, you're going to be able to say, okay, get me in however many shares I want to get in and stop me out if that happens. And then and the idea is you can keep trying, trial and error. If it takes you 3 times, or you lose small, but then on the 4th time you do it and you win big, like you get the 85 points, well then it's all worth it, okay? So that's what we're doing. Full paper trading that's based off of this technology that lets you, so now you can imagine this is now my paper trade buy signal. I can go away, not worry about it, and the difference will be I will say, okay, if I'm gonna be getting in here, get me out, let's say right here. So because I'm swing trading it, less size, I'm going to give it more room. So now you're kind of doing things on a much longer term, but yet still active speculating perspective. And you can do that with pretty much anything, okay? So here you have a CCOI trade, selling strength, okay? Beautiful trade, the way it happened today was one of the best ones. And you can say, okay, if it goes back up here, I'm going to say short one more time. So that's one example. The other example here, of course, is if you're swing trading, you can just set your stops wider and say something like, okay, get me out, but only if it takes out, because here, this was kind of perfect, Brad. It nailed it right on highs. But, and that's the point of this strategy. Selling strength means that you are putting your sell offer out right as it's doing something, because you're looking for the mean reversion, the counter trend trade, okay? And
yeah, sometimes in real time, those are a little uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Totally. Well, they're counterintuitive because people only tend to want to follow one direction or another, follow a trade or another. It's just, I mean, that's what people tend to want to do. But we, from the statistics point of view, play the ranges. And again, this is just adds to a level of sophistication that most investors don't know how to do, that our software is doing for you. So here you can just kind of put it right back here and say right at that price level, okay? Now, if you are swing trading, okay, if you're swing trading, this is a position you would possibly still be in, because that's one of the other ways that you do this stuff. So imagine here, every one of the stocks that you're winning, that you closed doing well, and here it was on 2 of them. So it was a very strong sell signal. So you would still be in this one, you would still be in that one, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you're simply saying, hey, I am maintaining this trade until the market tells me otherwise. we're not against longer term positions. In fact, we're trying to help people stay in things longer for the bigger move.
I mean, we really do have a couple initiatives in that area. You were talking about the longer term AI, but we have a group internally that's working on base strategies to feed to the AI that are more swing in nature, more longer term, back tested for multiple days. And that's something that we've now just started moving our efforts and energy into as well.
Correct. So where are we on the questions, Brad?
We're caught up. I mean, Ryan just asked about automating Holli, and that is one of the latest functionalities that we brought to Brokerage Plus. Brokerage Plus is an add-on module that allows you to really very quickly execute any signal inside of trade ideas, but also you can automate a strategy. So you can take an alert strategy that you create and you can automate it, put in the set of rules that you want it to implement, when you want it to trade, how much you want it to do it, how you want to go to market with it, what kind of stops, what kind of time constraints you want to use. And so you can automate that. And then the most recent thing, like I said, was bringing the automation to Holli. But there's still a lot of choices that are up to you with that automation. How long are you going to hold it? Are you going to trade it in risk off or risk on mode? Are you going to kind of treat it like a gray box, if you will, where it gets you into it and it sets up kind of the autopilot for you, if you will, but you do have the ability to kind of take control, turn autopilot off, move your stops, change your time stops, and do all of that. So a lot of different ways that you can do it. You can turn on certain strategies, turn off other strategies. You can use the reentry feature, which is a new little bit of functionality that we brought, that is a little algorithm that takes a look at where the initial entry price was, where you got stopped out, and finds a midpoint in there, and when it retraces back to that, allows you to get back into it if you selected that you want to participate in that little algo. So a lot of great stuff, a lot of new automation to it.
Right, good example of how this works. Now, in this particular one, it didn't work out because just the way the market went. But here, you had a buy signal, a big reversal that hit the stop, but then it went back in the direction. This would have been your re-entry. Okay, and the idea is hopefully it would have ran, but a lot of times, again, you cannot tell exactly how many times it will take. So Richard, we have this information that you're asking, and we're trying to bring it so that everyone can see it on a trade by trade basis, all of that stuff. It's just not available in this particular presentation. That's all. But all this information is there.
Yeah, and it's not that far off from that one. I think it's pretty close. I don't have the exact number right now, but we should have it for our next webinar, Dan.
Okay. Well, so there you go. And also, but please remember, past performance isn't going to indicate future performance. We have to keep doing it. Like this market right now is a more challenging market than the market that we had in January, by a long shot. These things happen, and you should expect to not be peddled quote unquote bullshit that says you make money every single day. That just isn't the case. Notice also that we're going both long and short. How many systems do you know that actually do both? This is something else that you need to consider, is that we're giving you an opportunity to not just be stuck in one direction and go both ways, profit in both directions. And some people say, well, why are there so many trades? Well, number one, we don't control that. It's just the statistical setups when they come. And obviously, when everything's going, you want to be in as many of them as possible. But the other thing, there's a very simple answer. We don't know when you're watching the AI. And so we don't want to be sitting there with the software that fires 2 trades in the morning and then does the hoping and the praying. Nothing wrong with praying, but that's not where you want to be doing it. So we're constantly providing you opportunities all throughout the day. And there is no other vendor that's going to be showing you technology, providing you all the feedback, and also saying, hey, today it didn't work out the way we would have liked it for it to work out, but still, here it is. This is what it is. This is reality. Just like mixed martial arts, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. Nobody's just winning everything. And this is why our system and our technology is so differentiated from so many of the other vendors. Let me kind of give you a little bit of an overview. Start the day. This is one of the best ways to do it. Remember, we have a full channel bar. Here's your pre-market stocks. By the way, David, the best way to start with the product is Barry's trading room. That's window shopping. We have a meritocracy of people that will take you through everything.
Dude, let me give David a shot here. I'll do it in less than 60 seconds. All right, we're an idea generation tool. We'll help you find what you want to look for in the stock market. We do it in a bunch of different ways. We have a piece of clay. It's a clay that allows you to shape and mold it to tell it what you want to look for. We also provide ideas through our AI. We have a back testing tool, so it's full alert scanning, top lists, all kinds of great stuff, but it's all associated with idea generation, full analytics with charts. If you don't know what to trade or what you want to trade during the day, this is the kind of software you need.
And let me add something else, like, because this goes because it goes without saying. Notice how right now I'm speaking and the software is just taking you through ideas. So your mind is being fed information and you're seeing ideas, and this is either going to resonate with you or not, but you don't have to do anything. We've done this because we know that people have a hard time even figuring out what should I click on. So here you are, you're like, oh, ALVR, wait a minute. And notice that as soon as I put my mouse on the chart, what happens, Brad? It pauses by itself because, hey, you're interested, you're looking. What's going on here? Okay, something exciting's happening. This thing is up a lot. So maybe you will set an alert and say something like, for example, okay.
So this is a channel that you would, start off the beginning of your day, maybe pre-market, maybe right as the market opens, and just kind of see what's gapped up and what's gapped down, what's moving, and so forth.
And I'm just showing you what most avid users do. Just simply they go through and simply put in the basics. I like this setup. This way you're not overthinking it with indicators. You can take it, you can move your alerts on the charts. You can say, okay, let me just put it right above there. Okay. So now if this thing starts to go, it'll pop up, hey, but this thing's starting to go. It's picking up. You may want to check this out. And that's it. It's very powerful. Like Adobe Photoshop, it can be used for motion picture to just doing a little bitty.
Yeah, I mean, you can use it like right out of the box like this without changing any settings. Or if you were so inclined and you only wanted to look for certain things, you could take what we've built here in that pre-market channel or any of the channels and either grab a window or a couple windows and modify it so it's just giving you the kind of specific detail you want, and then custom save it to your channel bar. So you've got your own custom channel and so many different ways to use the product.
And exploring is the key. Explore. Notice how every single stock has a heart. So now I can say I like this. Now it's on my liked symbols. It follows your own stuff. So this is all the stuff that I, over the time of doing these webinars, have been selecting for whatever reason.
Yeah, and so this is actually a good channel here to kind of show the difference between a couple of the two different visualization windows. So you've got that window that Dan's cursor's on right now, which is a top list window. It's going to give you a ranked list of stocks. He can change the sort order. He can manipulate it. You can custom color code it. All of those colors kind of mean something, and you can really make it mean something for you by putting your custom colors in there or just kind of understanding how it's color coded. Then we've got that window over on the right with the A in it. And that's an event-based window. That's what we call our alert window. That's what we really started with. That's kind of the technology front-facing window that we started this whole thing with. But when something happens in the market, whether it's a new high or a crossing a resistance or breaching a support, crossing a moving average, it's going to pop up here with all your filters satisfied. That event's going to occur, and then it'll pop up, click on it, take a look at it. If you're linked up with your trading system. You don't have to have an IB account to have this be a real useful tool with your brokerage platform. We have external linking, which allows you to connect it probably to about 90% of the different platforms out there, brokerage platforms that you're trading with. So you click on a symbol, it'll update the other tools level 2, the charts, news, whatever they have, and it'll send your orders. So a lot of different ways that you can integrate this super quickly.
And the key is that it's all done for you in this channel bar. One of the channels that I really love is this one called Active Trading, for example, okay? Because it just does so much. And while we do, of course, focus on Holli, that's the high-end technology, we're certainly not limited to just that. In fact, I mean, look at what this thing is surfing through as you're seeing this. First of all, you know, if you want to know why.
Fair, we did run this business for what, 13 years without Holli, and so there's a lot to the software.
We are trying to help you find this. Here you go. Just 214% move in one day. These are the things that you don't hear about on you know, CNBC.
Bring that up into a single stock window. Just right click on it, send to a single stock window. Yeah, right there, workhorse. Right click, send to, up. There you go. Single stock. All right, so guys, this is kind of highlights what we do as well, right? So David, another thing to point out is we take data and we do stuff that's really incredible with it. Like there's market data, what's the last, what's the volume? That's standard stuff, but we take that and we create data when we're receiving that data. One of the data points that we use is relative volume, for instance. Relative volume's a filter, but it's kind of gives an idea of how we take normal data and tell you when something abnormal is happening. So relative volume is just a ratio. This, in fact, in this particular case, it's 150. That means at this point in time, it's trading 150 times its normal volume. Super significant information, and you know you want to know that when it's 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times its normal volume, and that's kind of the information that we extract and then deliver it to you.
And also notice earnings just came out, so we have an earnings date. You can see 0.75 means it happened within the day today. Shorts had to cover, short growth, just lots of information that you can quickly see to make an assessment of what's going on. And notice everything's linkable, so you can see what's going on. Like here's one that, again, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I've talked about this a couple of times before, but take a note of this. This is a buy signal, this is a buy signal. I'm gonna put this buy signal, let's see, at 3 right here. Okay, when you have short growth of 157%, that means a lot of people were speculating that this thing's gonna get annihilated. And it's gonna take 3 days for all of them to bail, if all of them were just bailing all at the same time. So this is one of these things that you might want to keep an eye on and maybe possibly see if you can get positioned in, because it could run. Just saying, these are the kind of things that we look at. So of course we have an earnings calendar. Very important to point out. So you can always be just trading off of this kind of information when earnings season's high. Up with earnings today, down with earnings today, up with earnings tomorrow, down with earnings tomorrow. So you can see what are people doing based on expectations of things. And again, using this data, using what we're doing, we're trying to help you have an edge on things. And remember, you don't always have to act on everything, but you can simply. So here's one, down with earnings tomorrow. I'm just going to say here, a guess. So see, like if it triggers above this price, I'm going to say, okay, well, they must have beat. And if that's the case, well, then look here, now you've got the 50 days SMA, and you could have, and this thing has been to 100% higher, roughly speaking, in a relatively short amount of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's, Brad, are we all caught up on on the questions?
Yeah, we don't have any other questions.
I mean, there's an options channel that shows you the stocks where you have the most unusual options volume, things like that. And you can make your own channels. Barry's favorite channel, after hours, like what's going on in the after hours trading. So you can see most up, down, pre-market, post-market. Everything is covered. You get everything for some of the lowest prices for this kind of data that you could ever imagine. Which brings us, Brad, to our fantastic PowerPoint presentation. Okay, we are still, Scott, is today the last day of the test drive where you can sign up?
Yeah, you have until midnight tonight, and I don't know if that's East Coast or West Coast time, but midnight tonight to sign up. Then you would have access until next Wednesday as well.
Right, you get the full week on $8.99, trade-ideas.com/test drive. We are a subscription-based service for you guys. In case you want to know how much it costs on a per diem, this is what we show here, that for AI, for this kind of data, you really can't beat the prices. So let's see. Coming in, you can have a basic subscription. So standard is your basic subscription, and it costs $3.90 on a monthly basis. Okay, so multiply that by however days there are in a month, and you've got it. So Jeff, that kind of a question is probably better suited for support where someone can drill into it with you, because we're kind of on the tail end of the presentation today. But shoot us an email and we'll send you links, and someone will get in touch with you 100%. So this is how much it costs, and Holly Flowers is the promo code to get 15% off the first month or a year of trade ideas. Barry's Trading Room is open all day, and we are so proud of what Barry does every single day, creating a meritocracy that supports the whole environment. And trade-ideas.com/trading room. It's free for anyone to try out. Gary, our swing inputs, Brad, what's our time frame?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Is that for our new functionality, or what can you do right now with respect to the odds maker? Because right now you can put in some data in the odds maker that allows you to test it for a 14-day hold period.
Yeah, so on the back testing, you can already do swing trading strategies. There's no problem there. But yeah, Erico, TD Ameritrade, we used to work with them, but they send an email to your support rep and say, help us hook up. Because on IB, it does everything. It gets you in and gets you out. That's the whole point. It does all of the management for you. It's like you're having a professional poker player play for you as aggressively or as passively as you want. Ashraf, you would have to ask your Saxo Bank reps. Right now, no. Right now, the big one that we have is Interactive Brokerage, and we will be working with other ones. So with using our software with another trading house, you're simply just manually entering the trades. When you see them, you put in your order. That's it. So there's not an automated setup, but just a manual order entry. And again, if you like what you see here, tell your provider, say, hey, you guys need to hook up trade ideas. That's the best kind of thing that we can do. Let me, okay, so this is just for Erico, quick. So here you have a CVM trade. There's your entry. And when you have the brokerage plus setup, it automatically gets sent in for auto trading. Premium is required for auto trading. So, but soon you'll be able to use Brokerage Plus with standard subscription for manual trading through this. Like if you see something like on one of the channels, pull it up, you'll be able to trade.
Yeah, so Erica, like for instance, there wouldn't be that that window would be blank right there. There wouldn't be any symbols in it, the strategy trades window. And only when a signal in real time occurs, you know, it could be 30 minutes after the marketplace, then you're going to see a line item right there, and it's going to tell you entry 710 CVM. It'll tell you the entry price, and it'll keep calculating the profitability of that position in real time.
Does that make sense? Okay. Oops. Okay. So we do a Friday podcast, myself and my good buddy Jamie Hodge. Please tune into that. Look for that, trade space ideas on your podcast search engine on iTunes and stuff like that. We would love for you to subscribe. It's really popular, and we do a lot of, you know, good banter on that. Also, how do you trade when the stock market's going down? It would have been useful today if you had read this book. It's free, trade-ideas.com/ebook. And of course, we are super easy to get a hold of. We're active on social media, on Twitter at Trade Ideas, at QuantBot, at Today Trader. Like us on Facebook, and you can always give us a call, and of course, shoot us an email. We are grateful that you're taking your time to listen to myself and Brad. Check out the software. Just go to YouTube and you can look up Trade Ideas. Tons of information there for you to peruse and really dive in. Thank you, everyone. Scott, did I miss anything?
No, I think we're all good. We're going to have a recording up later on tonight or tomorrow, whenever that's uploaded, and you will receive an email tomorrow with a reminder of how to find that playlist. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Hi, everybody.